we have someone on hybrid?
Yes. And we have, can the interpreters hear us?
It is.
And Legislator McCabe, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Perfect.
Perfect. Okay. The April 14th, 2026 meeting of the Monroe County Legislature will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Barnhart. Ms. Barnhart is present. Ms. Bartholomew McCoy.
Here.
Ms. Bartholomew McCoy is present. Mr. Baines.
Here.
Mr. Baines is present. Mr. Blankley. Mr. Blankley is present. Ms. Bonnick.
Here.
Ms. Bonnick is present. Mr. Burgess.
Here.
Mr. Burgess is present. Mr. Chardy. Mr. Chardy is present. Mr. Colby. Mr. Colby is present. Mr. Cruz.
Presente.
Mr. Cruz is present. Ms. Delvecchio Hoffman. Ms. Delvecchio Hoffman is present. Mr. Dondorfer. Mr. Dondorfer is present. Mr. Frazier. Mr. Frazier is present. Ms. Hasman. Ms. Hasman is present. Ms. Hugh Smith. Ms. Hugh Smith is present. Dr. Jeffrey. Dr. Jeffrey is present. Mr. Johns. Mr. Johns is present. Mr. Keller. Mr. Keller is present. Mr. Long. Mr. Long is present. Mr. Mafucci. Mr. Mafucci is present. Mr. McCabe.
Here.
Mr. McCabe is present. Ms. McIntyre. Ms. McIntyre is present. Mr. Milne. Mr. Milne is present. Mr. Morris. Mr. Morris is present. President Roman.
Here.
President Roman is present. Mr. Sinclair. Mr. Sinclair is present. Ms. Smith. Ms. Smith is present. Mr. Stefferson. Mr. Stefferson is present. Ms. Vasquez Simmons. Ms. Vasquez Simmons is present. Mr. Udelson. Mr. Udelson is present.
Thank you. Please stay seated. I'd like to introduce Pastor Mark Kager of Hub Church, who has been invited by Legislator Milne to lead us in a moment of prayer. Please come on up. Thank you.
If you could bow your heads with me. Heavenly Father, we first acknowledge your sovereignty and our dependence on you. And I thank you for this assembly of leaders in our county and ask that your wisdom, your peace, and integrity fill this chamber. I pray for your protection and courage to uphold justice. God, we seek prosperity and peace in our county and ask that you guide these men and women as they make decisions that impact our community and your people. May your truth and your presence be their guiding light in this meeting and throughout the year ahead. In Jesus' precious name, amen.
Thank you, Pastor Kaiser. I'd like to present the certificate from the hat on behalf of the legislature. Your words. Okay, please stand as Legislator Colby will now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Legislator Colby. Of the United States of America. To the republic which is Thank you. Your copies of Day 3, March 10th, 2026 are now available through one meeting. Without exception, this journal will stand approved as submitted. Legislators, the referrals submitted to the legislature for the next committee cycle are available on one meeting as well as online. There are several proclamations scheduled for this evening, Mr. Clerk.
Would members of the Penfield boys basketball team please come forward? Also, President Yaversha Roman, legislators Paul Dondorfer, Susan Hughes Smith, John Baines, and Frank Chardy.
Sorry. Hey guys, if you guys come over here.
That works.
The Monroe County Legislature recognizes the Penfield Patriots boys basketball team. Whereas the ultimate goal of a team is to attain victory, and the Penfield Patriots boys basketball team was able to do so at the highest level, winning the 2026 New York State Championship by defeating Amsterdam High School. The Patriots' journey to victory showcased a level of skill and athleticism that led to a record of 28 wins and only 1 loss, making our community proud with each basket, assist, rebound, block, and steal. And whereas, in addition to their stellar performance on the court, the Patriots demonstrated a commitment to teamwork and sportsmanship that exemplifies the true spirit of athletic competition and is indicative of the values of people of Monroe County hold. And whereas, behind every victorious team are dedicated coaches, staff, and enthusiastic supporters, and we thank the coaches, administration, and fans of Penfield High School for what they do to support the team. And whereas Monroe County is proud to have student athletes who are able to succeed both on the court and in the classroom, their dedication to the sport, sportsmanship, and community pride serves as a beacon for aspiring athletes, reminding us all that with hard work, perseverance, and a united spirit, great heights can be achieved. Now, therefore, we, Iversha Roman, President, Paul Dondorfer, Legislator District 9, John B. Baines, Legislator District 11, Susan Hughes Smith, Legislator District 14, and Frank Chardy, Legislator District 15, on behalf of the Monroe County Legislature, do hereby recognize and honor the Penfield Patriots boys basketball team for winning the 2026 New York State Boys Basketball State Championship.
Okay. Yeah, wave them up here.
Coach Ellis.
Oh, no, we're making the food.
Thank you very much, everybody, for having us. This is truly a tremendous honor. We're excited, but also very humbled to achieve what's been achieved is, to say the least, we've been very excited, walking on clouds for the last couple of weeks. Winning was always, one of the big goals, but the ultimate goal was to showcase the type of young men that these guys are, the character, and in school, out of school, on the hardwood, off the hardwood. They're tremendous young men, not just great athletes. They're scholar athletes. They're leaders amongst our community, and more importantly, they're really good teammates, really good friends, really good family members, and they're everything that Penfield is proud to say represents who we are. So again, thank you all. Thank you to Mr. Dondorfer for inviting us. Appreciate you very much. And go Penfield.
Yeah, no doubt. There were individual.
Would Don Stevens please come forward? Also, President Iversha Roman and Legislator Tom Sinclair.
Appreciate this very much.
The Monroe County Legislature is proud to honor Don Stevens. Whereas Don Stevens has devoted 40 extraordinary years to the Rochester Americans as their iconic voice of the Amerks, becoming the longest tenured play-by-play broadcaster in the history of the American Hockey League. And whereas over the course of a distinguished broadcasting career spanning nearly 6 decades, Don Stevens has called more than 3,300 games, providing his iconic voice to generations of fans and capturing countless memorable moments in franchise history. And whereas Don's voice has narrated milestone achievements, including the team's 200th and 250th or 2,500th franchise wins, multiple Calder Cup finals, and other defining moments that have shaped the legacy of Amerks hockey. And whereas known as the Dean of AHL broadcasters, Don Stevens has contributed to the growth and visibility of the American Hockey League, founding the AHL Broadcasters and Writers Association and mentoring future broadcasters across the sport. And whereas Don's impact extends beyond the broadcast booth through decades of service to the community and the organization in multiple roles, earning numerous honors and recognitions, including his induction into the Rochester Americans Hall of Fame and the naming of the press box at Blue Cross Arena in his honor. Now, therefore, we, Iversha Roman, President, and Tom Sinclair, Legislator, District 19, on behalf of the entire Monroe County Legislature, do hereby congratulate Don Stevens for his incredible career and contributions to the Rochester community.
Me?
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me and these kind words. I appreciate it very much. And here before a legislative body, and I don't think I did anything wrong this time. So it's so good to see. I'm reminded of 40 years ago, we were out on the West Coast, my family and I told my wife, I said, well, I got a new job. We're moving east. And that went over like a lead balloon. She said, well, where are we going? I said, Rochester. And she says, she's from North Dakota. And she says, well, that's good. That's real close to my relatives. And thinking Rochester, Minnesota. And so I said, no, we're going a little further east than that. And that went over like the Hindenburg. And so we made it out here, and my family got into the community. They joined schools and clubs and all that, my kids and family, and got to the point where we became a part of this community. The longest I had ever lived anywhere in my life before coming to Rochester was 6 years. And so now I've been here 40. That's just a little bit more than those 6. I remember the day I was picked up at the airport was by Seymour Knox IV. His dad and uncle owned the Sabres at the time. And he said on the way to the hotel, he said, you're going to really like Rochester. And I said, is there a particular reason? And he said, the fans are very special. And he was absolutely correct. I guess at some point I feel maybe a little, not upset, but disappointed that I didn't make that next level to the major leagues. But on the other hand, now that I stop and look at it and think about it, I couldn't have done any better than being right here. I'm so glad that we we didn't stop in Rochester, Minnesota. We made it to Rochester, New York. So thank you very much for these kind words. I really appreciate it. And go Amerks.
Okay, thank you.
Would Ed Schramm please come forward? Also, President Iversha Roman, legislators Blake Keller, Howard Mafucci, and County Executive Adam J. Bello.
There's fine. Whereas over the past 30 years, Ed Schramm has committed himself to improving the lives of veterans, children, and developmentally disabled individuals throughout Rochester and Monroe County, consistently going above and beyond to give back to the community wherever possible. And whereas Ed Schramm has served as the organizer and producer of the Rochester International Air Show for over 24 years, as director of the Veterans Day Parade since 2022. Through his work with the Rochester International Air Show, Ed Schramm has ensured that our community's veterans are able to attend and are prioritized, while working closely with the Air Force Thunderbirds to select the hometown hero and fallen hero to be recognized during the show. Under his leadership as director of the Veterans Day Parade, the event has rapidly increased in size while continuing to donate any proceeds to local veterans organizations. And whereas Ed Schramm's charity and volunteerism goes beyond our veteran community. As the founder of Artists Unlimited Theater, Ed has provided opportunities for individuals with developmental, physical, or intellectual disabilities to participate in performing arts, breaking down barriers and stereotypes through inclusion and respect. Furthermore, Ed Schramm has assisted in the production of the Finger Lakes International Wine Competition and Auction, Rochester, fundraising over $3.5 million for Camp Good Days and Special Times, alongside multiple other fundraisers supporting our community's youth. And whereas Ed Schramm has served the veteran, youth, and developmentally disabled communities throughout Monroe County with dedication, compassion, and expertise. Through his work, he has created a lasting impact that will benefit the community for years to come. Now, therefore, we, Adam J. Bello, County Executive, Iversha Rahman, President, G. Blake Keller, Legislator District 1, and Howard Mafucci, Legislator District 10, on behalf of the entire Monroe County Legislature, do hereby express our deepest gratitude and recognize Ed Schramm for his dedication and service to the community.
After listening to all that, no wonder I'm so tired. I want to remind you of two dates, August 8th and August 9th of this year. The significance of those dates is, number one, the lady sitting down here is my wife. We will have been married 50 years this August. Yeah. That is also the date of the air show. And I told her that, but it was already selected. And I was like, oh, geez. Both Saturday and Sunday of the air show is going to be one of the most special things you've ever had the ability to witness. It'll be the 250th year of the Army, the Navy, and the Marines. We will have a very short parade. It'll be led by World War II veterans, Korean War veterans, and our Vietnam veterans. Once they reach the tarmac, the United States Naval Golden Knights will parachute and unfold the American flag. And as that flag descends to the ground, we will be singing the national anthem. And as it gets close, that flag will be picked up by the Civil Air Patrol, surrounded by Vietnam Veteran Honor Guard. And just as that comes to a conclusion, we have 3 planes that will do a flyover. The very first plane is in the colors of World War II and the Korean War. The second plane will be in black and white to depict our prisoners of war and those missing in action. The third plane that will fly over will be in the colors of the American flag. I encourage you to come and witness this once-in-a-lifetime deal. Although Director Moore and Mr. Stevanovic have asked me to do the 300th, I'm not sure I can get it. So, number one, none of this would happen without my wife at my side. Number two, please come and honor our veterans. Thank you very much for this.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. We will now move on to presentation of formal committee reports. There are no formal committee reports scheduled for this evening, and we'll now hold the public forum. Thank you to everyone who has signed up for public forum. We ask that everyone maintain decorum during this time. We will not tolerate any disruptions during the meeting from the gallery. A second warning will be issued before a deputy will be asked to remove you from the gallery. There are several people registered to address the legislature. Mr. Clerk.
If you require assistance, a deputy is available to assist you in approaching the lectern. I will call 3 people forward at one time. Each speaker will have 2 minutes in which to address the legislature. Please do not bring up any signs or props. Do not single out any legislator, and please conclude when the buzzer sounds. Thank you for your cooperation. Our first 3 speakers are Paul Frisella, Azelle Harris, and Howard Eagle.
See him. Having clean air to breathe, clean water to drink, and oceans free of pollution are all important. We should never take for granted that we have these things. Steps should be taken to stop pollution and the related problem of corporate greed and corruption. The oceans and their cleanness are vital to life on Earth. Right now, hundreds of millions of tons of garbage is damaging life in the oceans. And that trash must be cleaned up without fail right away. The oceans are the foundation of life on Earth. Trash is all over the oceans in huge piles. Man must clean it and properly dispose of it. There are now many trillions of pieces of trash in the oceans, and it takes hundreds of years for some of it to completely disintegrate. Birds eat it and get sick and die, as well as other ocean creatures. This must be stopped.
Concerning the housing vouchers, I suppose if they're not raised, I'll challenge the county executive in a primary. I want to address the walkout last month. What I found what the Republicans did was utterly despicable. Speaking as a former U.S. Army military policeman, let me tell you something. What I found was totally disgusting. I was so profoundly affected that I flew to New York and visited the graves of those two police officers that were killed in 1971. Officer Waverly McCoy Jones, buried at Ferncliff Cemetery, and Officer Joseph Anthony Piagini Jr., a Vietnam veteran. And I took your press release and laid it at the graves of those police officers and asked God to forgive you for your brazen act of disrespect. And let me tell you something, that was no badge of honor moment. And let me tell you, Republicans, you are said like there's no moral compass. And I say this for this reason. Let me remind you of your complicity when you voted for the convicted felon Donald Trump. In case you didn't remember, 174 police officers were injured on January 6th insurrection. One died from a stroke. Within 7 months, 4 committed suicide. Yes. And what did you do in November 2024? You voted to put the convicted felon back in office. And what did he do? His very first act was, that's right, he gave an unconditional and full for those 1,500 rioters, including those that were responsible that contribute to the death of those police officers. You Republican members need to look into the mirror and ask yourself that question. At minimum, you are complicit in those cop killers being set free. And in conclusion, it is my responsibility to expose the hypocrisy and speak truth to power. All of you Republican congressmen who voted for Donald Trump, your hands will be forever stained with the blood of the Capitol police officers and the police officers in the West Bank, in Gaza, in Lebanon, and now in Israel, in Tehran. Again, your despicable walkout shows your hypocrisy. And one last thing, I bet you that the individual, the senior citizen, and the taxpayers who you didn't.
I need you to wrap up, sir.
Yes, and I will.
Yeah, I need you to.
And I'm doing it right now. And I'll say this, I bet that the individual that you walked out on didn't vote for anyone involved with child sex trafficking, but you Republican
Sir, I
congressmen
need you to wrap up.
prohibit,
Thank you for your time.
and you gave legitimacy to a pedophile president.
Yes,
Now let me walk
Thank
out on
you.
you.
thank you.
Thank you, Brother Ezel. I'd like to say good evening to the authentic representatives and to the people. Good evening. I played for the Patriots when they were the Chiefs, graduated in 1972, but that's beside the point. I came here to call out white supremacist racists who walked out on Brother Jalil last month when he was speaking here. Apparently, you don't know the rules of your own institution. Your penal institution is set up for two reasons. One is to punish The second reason is to rehabilitate. So when somebody's convicted of a crime and they sit in prison under those decrepit conditions for 50 years of their life, and then they're released, they've been punished and they've been rehabilitated. And especially when they're showing that they've been rehabilitated by the valuable work that they're doing in the community. So I just came by to tell you to check yourselves. And as it relates to the idea that you're going to give somebody $440 a month for housing, that's ludicrous in 2026. I'd like to see some of you try to live with an allocation of $440 a month for housing. You probably commit suicide. You wouldn't be able to stand the pressure, the kind of pressure that you would have to live under those conditions. So do what's right. Stop being selfish. Stop being evil. Stop being devilish and do what's right.
Thank you.
Our next three speakers are Joyce Herman, Isabella Rosa, and Chrissy Miller.
Hello. What's up?
Good evening.
Oh.
I'm here as a representative of two favorite organizations that have my heart, Elders and Allies for Free the People and Temple Sinai Social Action. I was moved to sign up to be here tonight because I had a heartbreaking sense of deja vu when I saw the agenda. I am 89 years old. I was here over 50 years ago advocating for fair and affordable housing. We worked together for years, and there was some progress. There's some places in this community where people can buy houses and can rent, despite the racism that still exists. But what the access in terms of affordable rentals is perhaps worse, and it is so heartbreaking to acknowledge that. A recent report that you may have seen showed that homeless rates for those under 18 years old in the city of Rochester, homeless rates under 18 years old, rose 37% in 2023 compared to the previous year, and it hasn't gone down. The Rochester City School District reports that 2,417 of its enrolled students are homeless. New York State has allocated money to build more housing. But while we wait for those units to be developed, rental assistance in any form will keep, really?
Yes.
Okay, so, okay. That's up to you. Find the money from the state, the money that you have that's been allocated for other things. In there, you can find money for housing. Our community, our children, all of us need that. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello, my name is Isabel Rosa, and I work at the Children's Agenda. I am the Community and Parent Advocacy Coordinator. At the Children's Agenda, we improve the health, education, and success of children by advocating for effective, equitable policies, especially for families most impacted by poverty, racism, health inequities, and trauma. I want to start out by thanking the Monroe County Legislature for their support and their agreement to support the child care movement here in Rochester and in Monroe County. Thank you. As you have heard and will hear, that child care is critical to helping families thrive. As we move forward, we would like to continue to support the county on making sure that the needs of the families, parents, and children are met as it relates to what childcare looks like in our community. Our 3 recommendations, we're asking for a 2-year eligibility for childcare assistance program, basically the application. We're asking for it to be, the pilot program from the county, we're asking it to be extended from 1 year to 2 years. We are also asking for a contingency fund of $8 million to prevent this program from closing. And we are asking for staff to be increased in the Department of Health and Services for the processing of the childcare applications. It's a very lengthy and complicated process, and it creates barriers for our parents and our community members. We at the Children's Agenda also want to make it clear that we stand in solidarity with all of the housing advocates who are here today. Many of our parents, our families, our community are devastated and traumatized at the fact that housing is a crisis in our community and that they have been homeless or are currently homeless. Being homeless with children is real, and it is happening too much and impacting too many people and children and families. This is unacceptable. Monroe County Legislature, we need your full support to solve this crisis around housing. Everyone, especially children, deserve a safe, warm house to live in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Chrissy Miller. I am a parent through the VIP Children Agenda. I am talking about housing. I am one of the families that's really homeless. Nowhere to go, but living with family is not great. My child suffers every single day, crying and asking me, Mommy, when are we gonna get a new place? Baby, I'm so sorry, I can't afford it. But Mommy is trying. It does not make no sense when this rent is so high. And I'm living on 2 paychecks and still can't get nowhere to live. You think that's fair to me and my child? And my child has special needs. He goes to school every single day wondering what's the next steps for us. He should not have to wonder where he gonna lay his head the next day. I'm supposed to do that. I'm telling you, something needs to be done. And need to be done really fast. Because our children is homeless with nowhere to go. I don't care if shelters is out here. Parents do not want their kids in there, especially with the special needs children. They do not want to go in there. So we need to y'all need to please help our families and help me and other families that really need to really lay their head and have a house. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Next 3 speakers are Genio Jamal Yali, Katisha Britt, and Rosa Marie.
Right. Greetings, everyone. My name is Gino Jamal Wali. I am the community campaign organizer for Citizens Action Rochester chapter. And I would like to first say thank you for allowing me to speak at this time. Citizens Action and the Alliance for Quality Education stand in full support of the Children's Agenda. 3 recommendations to Monroe County for child care. In its professional webpage, the Alliance for Quality Education openly declares that, quote, in 2026, New York State must increase child care supply and quality throughout New York State. One means of accomplishing this fact is through workforce compensation. We must increase compensation for every member of the child care workforce so that they can remain in this critical profession. This is an issue of racial, economic, gender, and immigrant justice, as most child care educators are women of color and immigrants, yet they are paid poverty wages despite their essential work. Secondly, we must support the state's child care assistance program, better known as CCAP. At this time, I will reiterate the 3 recommendations from the Children's Agenda. 1, we are asking that there be a 2-year eligibility for child care assistance program instead of 1 year. 2, we are asking for a contingency fund of $8 million to prevent CCAP enrollment from closing this year in 2026. And thirdly, we are asking that Monroe County Department of Human Services increase staffing for the processing of CCAP applications. Now, in conclusion, universal child care means child care for all in a system that values and compensates educators adequately so that we all can thrive. Help us to make our community here in Monroe County a decent and safe place for parents, providers, and children to live and thrive safely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Q-Tisha Britt. I am a proud parent of VIP. I stand here today, not just as a parent, but as a voice for families who are too often unseen, unheard, and unsupported. We are in the middle of a housing crisis, but let's be clear, this is not just about housing. It's the core. Children and families are being pushed into homelessness, and everyone should have a problem with this. Because in a community full of resources and programs, families are still falling through the cracks. So we have to ask ourselves, why? Homelessness does not happen overnight. Not in a single familiar, it is a pattern of failure. Raising rent, low wages, lack of childcare, barriers to employment, limited access to safe, stable housing. These are not separate issues. They are connected. I don't speak on this as a statistic. I'm speaking on this as a mother of a 7-year-old daughter who is homeless. We are homeless, and no system is not trying to help us. We were placed in a hotel for 19 days. A program was told us we were gonna be able to be there for 19 days. We were there for 16. We were pushed out of the hotel because they told us funding was not available. We had to go back to the streets where we still are today, and there still is no program to help us. We are asking that there be a 2-year eligibility for child care assistance program instead of 1 year. We are asking for a continuously fund of $8 million to prevent CCAP enrollment from closing in 26. We are asking that Monroe County, Monroe DSS increase staffing for the process of the application process. We are also asking that our families that are homeless get help so that our children don't have to be on the streets, because homelessness is not okay. Thank you.
I started Marvelous Minds. Hello, everyone. Thank you for letting me be here today while raising small children with doubt from family, financial hardship, and a regulatory system that did not make it easy. I know firsthand what it means to need flexible childcare and not have it. I didn't just study this problem, I've survived it. I am Rosa Marie, the CEO of Marvelous Minds. And what I built out of necessity, thousands of families in Monroe County still cannot access. New York is investing heavily in workforce development. For that, we are grateful. But families are still dropping out, not because the programs aren't working, but because traditional childcare ends at 6 and training doesn't. Nationally, childcare barriers are the leading cause of workforce program dropout. But in Monroe County, we live this every single day. We at Marvelous Minds stopped waiting for someone else to solve it. Marvelous Minds is currently delivering FlexCare right now. Evenings, weekends, drop-in, last minute. Our 1100 Club model proves that it works. Families and their children get to make great strides toward their goals. We're proposing through the Universal Child Care Bill a formal FlexCare workforce pilot, about 25 to 50 families with measurable outcomes. That investment would be around $600,000 to $825,000, designed to prove ROI on workforce dollars already being spent. But a proven model without policy support can only reach so far. As the Universal Child Care Bill advances, explicitly fund flexible childcare. Because without it, a significant portion of working families will remain unreachable. Commissioner Reardon's team watched this work in action in real time, and we're ready to scale it. The solution does exist. We just need the framework to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Our next three speakers are Ralph Carter, Barbara Vankerhove, and Sarah Elizabeth Shapley.
Good evening. My name is Ralph Carter. I live in Pittsford. But my heart is broken from hearing some of this testimony here tonight. I was pleased to hear the prayer of Pastor Kaiser as our meeting started, where he asked God to bring prosperity to our county. Unfortunately, we are not there yet. While our community waits for living wages, this legislature must increase access to housing in our county and especially in the city of Rochester. Homelessness in the Rochester area rose to 1,100 people in 2024. That's just people that are not living with parents and cousins and everybody else. Meanwhile, this increase is up 34% since 2019. 34%. Meanwhile, 70% of housing in the city are rentals, which means that there's no possibility of owning a resident owning a home or building generational wealth to get themselves out of poverty. Corporations, most rental properties are owned by individuals and corporations who live out of state, sucking money out of Monroe County. Do you think they're investing in this county? We don't have any requirements that people live here. Where do we hold our sales for foreclosed properties? My understanding, or at least I remember reading in the paper, isn't it generally at the airport? How are Rochesterians going to get to the airport from the east side? I mean, come on, well, anyway, median family income in the city is half of the rest of the county. We are essentially gentrifying our city neighborhoods since most low-income residents cannot afford what is being built using the 5-county HUD model. Vouchers must double in order to meet the current need. No one should want not doing anything as their legacy of public service. We must prioritize housing for the constituents of this county. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Barbara Van Kerkhove. I've lived in the city of Rochester for over 30 years. I'm speaking tonight as a private citizen and as a member of Elders and Allies of Free the People Rock. I'm here to speak about the housing crisis, as so many people have already, focusing on the lack of safe rental housing that's affordable to our community members with the lowest incomes. There are two big structural problems that our rental assistance programs have. First, rental assistance is a tangled web, as we've heard, of programs, some of which are administered by Monroe County DHS, that result in confusion, discouragement, shame, and ultimately people and their families not getting the adequate housing they need. These stories tonight have made my heart ache. Families and individuals are struggling as they try to navigate this tangled web. Second, there is not enough subsidized or public housing units, not enough Section 8 vouchers, and not enough dollars in assistance. As opposed to project-based rental assistance, tenant-based rental assistance is often inadequate to allow households to get safe, adequate housing that's also affordable. This is especially true for the New York State Shelter Allowance. While the state's rental supplement program helps, the county's current portion of this additional assistance can help only 300 families bridge the affordability gap. And we know the waiting list for public housing and Section 8 housing choice vouchers are years long. I urge the county legislature to, one, direct the county executive and DHS to work with the city of Rochester and the Rochester Housing Authority to untangle the web of rental assistance programs so that our community members can efficiently get the housing support they need. Second, find money in the county budget to supplement the New York State Shelter Allowance payments to reduce the gap between the state's shelter allowance payment and Rochester area's fair market rent. 3, advocate with the state to increase funding for its rental supplement program. And 4, support increased and permanent funding for the state's housing access voucher program. Thank you.
I'm going to take this moment to locate myself. I live in the suburbs. When I walk down the street, what I mostly see are people who look like me, white people. This comes from a history of redlining policies that said that only white people could have housing here, particularly white people where wealth has been given throughout generations. This also comes from not just interpersonal wealth, which is current, but also current policies in housing. There's little affordable housing. The little there is still mostly unaffordable to many people, including me. This comes from a practice of housing vouchers. Housing vouchers currently are only set at $440 and have stipulations such as documentation having to be in certain programs to get, which limits who can access and get housing. I want to say now that I believe housing needs to be free and accessible for all, so not placing certain things onto an individual to get that housing. I believe in land trusts and cooperative models that actually put into practice a housing model that lets anyone access housing whenever needed, especially on stolen land. There needs to be no one who ever fears that someone will lose access to the housing that provides a home for life, a living situation that supports all of who a person is. I am here with other advocates today to ask that housing vouchers be increased from $440 to $990, to ask that this be no barrier housing, because housing is a right for beings that everyone needs to have. We don't need anyone to ever fear that their homes will be taken away, that their housing would be taken away simply because someone couldn't meet what was required. I am here to say, as a community, we have enough housing to house everyone. What we don't have are policies that actually say we will house everyone. And I don't just mean shelter, I mean a home, one where someone will be supported for all of who that being is. Housing vouchers are a first step that would actually make this a reality. Please pass the Housing Voucher Access Program that would house and provide a home for everybody. A home where someone isn't ever afraid that one night they will go to sleep and the next night be removed. A home that says all of who you are, no exceptions, is loved and accepted here. A home that someone wants to come back to each day. Providing basic access to housing so that beings can build homes, flourish in community, and actually recognizes that this government was created on stolen land is what we need. Please and thank you.
Our next three speakers are Reverend Marilyn Cunningham, Shirley Thompson, and Terrence Schnurr.
Good evening. My name is Shirley Thompson, and I'm a member of Elders and Allies. We number more than 100 mainly older Rochesterians that came together in 2020 and whose mission is to dismantle structural racism in the greater Rochester community. I've lived in the city of Rochester most of my adult life, having moved here in 1973. And since we're telling our ages, Joyce, I'm 75. My husband and I left from 1980 to 1983, always knowing that we would return because there was something about Rochester that appealed to us. It had its challenges, but it was both small and large enough that we believed we could help build a strong community that worked for everyone. And here we are 53 years later, still plugging away at helping Rochester realize its potential. I don't think there's anything I can add of significance to what you've already heard tonight and for many weeks and months before tonight. You know the statistics on poverty in our community. You know the effect that poverty and transiency have on our families, especially our children. I believe you know that it is much more cost-effective to invest in children and families now while they still have some youthfulness, some health, some hope, before desperation sets in and the life is ground out of them before they become a statistic. Whether we're talking housing vouchers or rental assistance, I can't imagine how hard it must be to find decent housing for $440 a month. 36 years without an increase. 36 years. Unbelievable. What you're hearing tonight are your constituents. We're insisting that you step up and help some of the neediest people in our community. Please don't let them down.
Imagine if the budget that you passed last December had revenues that exceeded expenditures so that the expenditures were 75% of the revenues and the remaining 25% was sent to fund Onondaga County. And imagine further that that was typical of what had happened for the last 40 years. Can you see why that would be a problem? It's because the taxpayers of Monroe County shouldn't be funding Onondaga County government. As I've said before, user fees, or more accurately, narrow-based taxes, are taxes and among the most regressive taxes. And when they are used, they should only be used in a way that the people who are paying them are the primary beneficiaries. The approved 2026 budget provides estimate $6.8 million in revenues for the county clerk's recording, filing, and licensing office on the first floor. Whereas a 60-year-old, I'm old enough to have worked for almost 6 years in the mid-1990s. That office has appropriated for its use $5 million. Another $1 million goes to subsidize the auto license bureaus, and another $800,000 goes to fund the general fund. That's not just to the customers of that office. And when an additional $100,000 expenditure is necessary because malicious actors are using the internet for nefarious purposes, that money should come from that surplus and not from a new, unnecessary, unjust fee. Thank you and have a good night.
Our next three speakers are EJ Militello, Gwendolyn Hello, and Zachary Jordan.
We are in an undeniable time of crisis in Rochester. Housing costs are unaffordable and homelessness is growing rapidly. Rochester has a reputation for being poor and plagued with problems. That's why it makes it all the more disgusting what unfolded here last month when we came in here to propose simple fixes. We turned over the rock of this body and exposed the maggots wriggling in the dirt of the Locust Club. Our legislators are too busy pulling racist stunts at their command, walking out of the room to even listen to what is going on in our communities. The Republicans. This is why Rochester is poor, is because of people like you. What's even more disgusting are legislators working under the banner of the Democrats, working hand in hand with this side of the room. Michael Udelson, your time is up. If you won't budge when we hand you progressive reform, address these issues.
Yeah, he's
I
done.
want
Cut
you
him
to
off.
make sure you refrain from calling out legislators, and I actually think you're calling out the wrong one, but we'll talk about that later.
Too busy making backroom deals with RG&E, you gotta go. If they can't play by the rules, why should we, when people are dying out on the streets with no action, no care? Because we are here peacefully trying to go about this with appeals to reason. That's what we did last month. But we have to understand here is there's nothing peaceful about these crises and trauma. There's nothing funny about it inflicted on our communities, right? Poverty turns into a nightmare for so many in our communities. It causes crime, homelessness, hunger. We have kids walking around with PTSD, homeless kids. Vouchers hasn't been raised since 1990. The leadership in this body is despicable. Enough with the circus and the cowardice. Which of you here are willing to stand up to the status quo and ineffective leadership that plagues this body on this side of the room? Because I don't even want to talk to these people. We are coming in. People are fed up. We're going to get organized. We're starting to get organized, and some of you will feel the heat if the leadership of the Democratic body isn't changed. And that stunt that you guys pulled was racist and disgusting. You serve us, the people, not the Locust Club. Just because someone was incarcerated doesn't mean that they don't have the right to address the body of legislator here. That's absurd. Someone does their time in prison and they have no right to come address you high and mighty Republicans over here. It's disgusting. Fix the issues. We have people dying out on the street.
That's it.
Fix the issue.
All right, his time's up now. Yes, thank you.
My name is Gwendolyn Hallow, and I am with Citizen Action. We are failing this community. When police do encampment sweeps, they're not cleaning up the streets, they're committing violence against an already vulnerable population who are just trying to survive. If you want to do something about people, families, living out in the cold who rely on the goodwill of others just to get by, which we are morally obligated to do, the answer is simple. Increasing the housing vouchers from $440 to $990 is well within the power of this legislature. When I see people struggling, I feel compelled to act. I listen to them. I hear their stories. I do something. A lack of action is an action. Failing to stop this violence against members of our community when you have the power to do so is violence itself. We are demanding that you stop being complicit in this and do what is right for the people that you serve.
Thank you.
I'll take that up. Good evening, Rochester community and legislators. My name is Zach, and I'm here to speak in solidarity with Citizens Action in support in childcare and housing vouchers increasing here in Rochester. I've lived in Rochester my whole life. I have witnessed this housing crisis and how it has impacted our communities firsthand. Houselessness continues to grow in our community due to the relentless financial strain placed on the back of working class families. As of 2024, we've heard the statistic a lot tonight, over 1,100 people face homelessness in Rochester, and that number has only continued to grow and remains undocumented for many cases. People are working endlessly, week after week, and are still having to ask at the end of the month, how am I going to afford my rent? How am I going to have a roof over my children's head? I'm here to speak on behalf of students in Rochester here as well. When talking to my friends, they're constantly discussing how their rent continues to rise inexplicably and how they've had to saddle themselves with tens of thousands of dollars in debt on top of already hefty costs. A person that is trying to educate themselves and find their way in this world should not have to choose whether they should pay rent or eat this month. And that goes for everybody in this city. Us students, we only face a fraction of what our most vulnerable communities here in Rochester face and what they have to do just to make ends meet. This legislation on both sides of the aisle claims to be aware of these issues, yet the response from both of you is one of hostility rooted in racism and carelessness as you continue to block the increase of housing vouchers for our community in Rochester. The inability of this legislation to combat this crisis is shameful.
No.
The question here is not, can we support our most vulnerable? We have the money. We know we do. It is rather, do we have the moral willpower to do so? Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next three speakers are Lucy Newman, Stacy Judson, and Lorraine Parr.
Good evening.
Good evening.
A month ago, a bunch of us got up here to speak and to implore you to do something to address the housing crisis that plagues the city of Rochester and Monroe County. We shouldn't have even needed to say anything. You should know from being representatives and from speaking to your neighbors and from hearing your constituents come in previously that there is a housing crisis and that there's something that you need to do. Any public representative worthy of their position should be working tirelessly on fixing this housing issue. And yet instead, the Republicans decided to walk out in a racist stunt when Jaleel Muntakim came up to speak. So since you didn't hear him, I'm going to tell you what he had to say. And what he said is that we've had a housing crisis for the past 30 years, and the reason that you have not done anything is because you lack the willpower and the moral courage. Okay? And so yeah, this is not the behavior of a professional representative. This is toddler behavior to walk out and plug your ears while we are trying to talk to you. So what happened after we finished speaking? After we left, we had a vote. You guys had a vote on foreclosures, and you decided to foreclose on a bunch more houses. And these are like the lucky people who have gotten a house decades ago and have diligently given most of their paycheck to the bank so that they could pay down their mortgage. And then maybe they had a medical crisis, maybe someone in their family is getting older, and they missed a couple $1,000s of taxes. It is not right to lose your home over a couple of $1,000s of taxes. So I ask you again, please do something about the housing crisis, increase the vouchers, and please stop making it worse. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Stacy Judson. I'm here to speak on something a little different this evening. My name is Stacy, and I'm a registered nurse at the Rochester General Hospital. I've been a member of the Rochester community for 28 years, and I've had the privilege of working at Rochester General Hospital, serving our community for the last 27 years. In this time, I've had the honor to witness the resilience and compassion that defines the people here, even in the face of significant challenges. Over the years, the landscape of healthcare in our community has evolved. Our emergency room in particular has grown busier. The expectation of those we care for has shifted. I know that being in the hospital, especially during times of illness and injury, can be overwhelming, and the process of recovery can often feel uncertain. However, every step of care is guided by a deep commitment to well-being, safety, and comfort for everyone involved as we come into contact, everyone we come into contact with, regardless of the situation. The average person doesn't understand how hospitals work, but they do understand that long waits in the emergency room and being scared that they or their loved one is not getting the care that they need. While working in the ED, I've personally experienced violence multiple times. In the last 2 months alone, I've been assaulted severely enough twice to file charges against 2 different patients. And back on October 30th, 2021, while assisting a physician that was being assaulted, I was punched in the face and knocked unconscious. I sustained a laceration to my face, and then I was spit on with a patient that had HIV. I required a full month of prophylaxis. He was bleeding from his mouth at the time, and the incident made this a high-risk exposure. Because of my injuries, I was out of work for several weeks. I also had Please support us and tell the Rochester Regional Board of Directors that you support healthcare workers and expect that they budget and use hospital resources to prioritize quality patient care and safe working conditions. We come to work every day to care for patients in our community, and we deserve to know that we will be going home safely to our families. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm here for something different myself. All right. I am here because our Healthy Neighborhood program is getting the axe by Miss Governor Kathy Hochul. So New York State wants to take away services that we give to our city residents. And that's sad because our program has helped so many people. For instance, I had an elderly resident save her home and grandson from burning down their house because we provided a smoke alarm and fire extinguisher, and the child started a fire with a lighter and only sustained minor burns because she had the fire extinguisher. Now, many people, because they can't afford these items, it comes in handy because that's the last thing on your mind when you have no money. So our program is very well needed. We also provide information to residents on housing grants and first-time homebuyer programs, and also how to keep their homes rodent-free and safe-free. We also mentor families, and we provide information for many programs it seems no one knows about. We provide in-home inspections on how people can keep themselves and their houses safe. Many people, especially the elderly, depend on this service, and now it's being cut. I just want to know if we could get the funding. It's only 162,000 a year for two of staff. That's including myself and another person and our supplies, that we could put the budget on the county instead of the state. Because right now the state budget is not going through. I don't know. I don't think we're going to be getting the funding, but I was wondering if we can, the county, would you please fund this? Put this in the budget so I don't have to keep worrying every couple of years, oh, do we have money for this program? So they're pretty much saying at the health department that we're not going to have the money. And so I don't know what's going to happen, but a lot of our people at the city are pretty disappointed. And so am I, because I really do like my job, and it's a nice job because I get to meet all these people and help them. So please put us in the budget. I'm asking you. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next three speakers are Louis Castle, Jamie Odell, and Mary Ellen Belding.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Louis Castle. I'm here representing Citizens Action of New York, of Rochester chapter. And I'm here to talk about housing vouchers. But before I did that, I wanted to talk about something I know a little bit better, and that's suits. That happens to be my job. I sell suits. And the other day I had a thought, and I recognized to myself, I just sell the shell. I sell the outside. What makes the man or the woman is inside the suit. And I can't do that for you. So we have a lot of suits in the room. And I know they have a lot of opinions, but the only way to make yourself a person is to do the action of a person. This clothes can't do that for you. Now, along with that, I would like to say, which has been stated multiple times, that housing vouchers have been at $440 since they were created in 1990. That was even 10 years before I was born. A lot of the world has changed since I was born, or even before that. And you would believe that you need to increase how much somebody can get in their housing vouchers for them to be able to live. That's about all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's almost like God brought me down here today, because what I'm about to tell you might help a lot of you out. My name is Jamie Odell. I've been going to court now since December 23, 2023 for nothing. Fake indictments, fake charges, no arrests. I've been calling around everywhere. The mayor, over here, everybody. Nobody is calling me back. Nobody is helping me. Nobody is doing nothing. If you don't believe me, my friend made a TikTok page you could go to. It's NTheMadness19. Check it out. I haven't put everything on there of what's going on. The county clerk lost my indictment for an entire year. When I wrote an email, Jamie Romeo contacts me back on August 5th. She included the county attorney, which was at the time Brian Green. He knew it was missing. Now he's the DA in Monroe County, and he's now prosecuting me for this indictment. The indictment is down at the county clerk's office, yet it doesn't have a filing stamp. And it's not the original one that was
I would
down
like
there.
to be able to hear you. Go ahead, continue.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
But like my friend told me before, follow the money. The assigned attorney, the assigned attorney thing they have going on here in Monroe County. Well, there's a lot of money floating around that shouldn't be. Every time I go to court, they adjourn. My case isn't even on the docket. How are these people getting paid? Well, the judge must be signing some kind of receipt for them to do it. when I just called the assigned attorney place today, and I asked them, what's going on? Who's my attorney? She said, I told you you had to talk to your attorney about it. I'm not talking to you. I hung up the phone. That's a lie. She told me before that she was going to call me back the next day. The other attorney they gave me was Okeano Bell. Look him up. His address is 3177 Ladder Road, number 209.
No
That's
addresses.
Key Bank.
And please wrap up.
But what my whole thing is my daughter was kidnapped by the courts. I have only seen her 25 times since December 23, 2023. My ex-girlfriend she put a family petition on me for an order of protection in 2 seconds. An order of protection against me, which I still have not had a fact-finding hearing to tell my side about this. And it's because of her ex-girlfriend's father's ties with the Freemasons.
Yeah, thank you. It's good. Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Come on.
Hi, I'm Mary Ellen Belding. I'm Jamie Odell's advocate. I never thought I would be standing here as an advocate. Some of you may know me. Sorry. Some of you may know me as a victim. I've been victimized by the court system, by the district attorney's office, by the police, and I mean no disrespect. I have 3 generations of police officers in my family. Unfortunately, I had a business in the city of Rochester that employed a substantial amount of people, and I got in the way. I became a whistleblower when minority and women contractors were being abused. I cooperated with the FBI, the Department of Justice, the EPA. I won't go any further. I want to get to the point that I followed the money. I followed the money to the city of Rochester, the county of Monroe, the city of Rochester School District, and a host of people. And as I sit here tonight, I've recently become a disabled senior citizen widow. And I don't know how I'm going to pay my taxes, but I've had a very good life. And I'm listening to these people who haven't. And I know where the money is. It's not the Republicans. It's not the Democrats. It's a bipartisan corruption where the elite, it is the elitist. You make a phone call, you ruin somebody's life. You make another phone call, you prosecute someone and keep him from his child for 27 months. You make another phone call and it all gets covered up. I did my due diligence. I did my duty. And I will continue to fight. And I will continue to expose. And sooner or later, somebody has to stand up for the people and follow the money. Stop funding corporations and start funding the people.
Thank you,
and
ma'am.
audit your own departments.
Ma'am, thank you. Thank you.
Next 3 speakers are Jean Moran, Peter Nicoletta, and Susan Cribbs.
Good evening, everyone. Start by introducing myself. My name is Jeannie Moran. I work at Rochester General Hospital. I work in the MSU unit. I've been a registered nurse for about 19 years, and I've been a lifelong Rochesterian. I'm here with my fellow nurses from the Rochester Union of Nurses and Allied Professionals, our union, to ask for your help. Recently, if you've seen the news, well, there's been escalating violence we already know in our community, but our hospital is not immune from that. I worked on the unit where we had a person with a gun that arrived to our unit and put every risk, every one of my coworkers' lives at risk, as well as patients that were there, visitors that are there. These could be your family members. These could be your relatives. My coworkers are scared to come into work. We haven't had adequate security. We have been on Rochester Regional for the last several years with the escalating. We see it in the news. Every facility needs more securement. And Rochester General has been very lax in putting what we have known has been a problem for years. We already work extremely hard. We try to take care of every person that crosses our path in our hospital, but we're doing it with inadequate resources. Most days we are short-staffed. We don't have enough nurses on the nursing units to provide the adequate care that everyone here deserves. As a union board member, I see firsthand how much time and resources we've been investing to try to hold the hospital accountable to the safe staffing ratios that have been submitted to the Department of Health. There are safe staffing ratios that are in place. You should ask your hospital, you should ask every nurse when you're there, how many patients are taken care of that day? And you should ask to see how many they should be taken care of. We have a report that shows that RGH was understaffed throughout 2025. We negotiated a financial penalty for our first union contract. Staffing minimums are set by ratios, and RGH sends its staffing plan to the New York State Department of Health every year. RGH paid $100,000 financial penalty for understaffing in only the first quarter of 2025. We're waiting an arbitrator's decision for the remaining quarters. We've alerted the Department of Health and sent messages to them and letters and gotten no response. We're urging all you legislators, as well as the community, to help contact the appropriate state legislator and tell them that Rochester Regional Board of Directors to start prioritizing the safety of patients and workers at RGH. Thank you. I saw that she was at her last sentence. Yes.
Madam President, members of the legislature, my name is Peter Nicoletta. I'm a New York State licensed land surveyor. I've been working in Monroe County for the past 41 years. I'm here to express serious concern regarding the procedures recently implemented in the Monroe County Clerk's Office that impose fees simply to access public records through its Search IQS system. While I understand the need for cost recovery in government operations, this practice is not only counterproductive and unnecessarily burdensome, it appears to conflict with both the spirit and the intent of the New York Freedom of Information Law, Public Officers Law, Article 6. FOIL is clear that the public records are presumed open and accessible, and that fees must be limited to the actual cost of reproduction. Section 87(1)(b)(3) explicitly restricts charges to actual cost of reproducing records. And the Committee on Open Government has repeatedly advised that agencies may not impose fees merely for the privilege of viewing or inspecting documents. Yet the current procedure effectively creates a paywall around information that taxpayers have already funded, often through filing fees, and have a legal right to view. This policy has a tangible negative impact on productivity for residents, researchers, and professionals like me who rely on timely access to these records. What was once a straightforward process had become mired in excessive costs, restrictive access rules, and delays which serve no legitimate public purpose. And instead, the system now functions as a barrier to transparency and civic participation. The cumulative financial burden is especially troubling. Individuals who must review multiple documents or who are conducting ongoing research
Please wrap up.
are now forced to absorb costs that are neither reasonable nor justified under FOIL. And the rest of it is in the document.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Susan Cribbs. I'm a registered nurse at Rochester General Hospital, where I've been employed with the system for nearly 20 years, serving the Healthcare Society of Rochester, Monroe County, happily, willingly. I've been a nurse for 32 years and have served in a caregiving capacity, operating in the business of compassion for those nearly 33 years. I come to you today on behalf of my coworkers at Rochester General Hospital as a member of RUNAP, and I ask you to consider what is within your power to do about the safety, security, and staffing issues at Rochester General Hospital. I think we've heard today that there are common themes going on in this city, a common theme of rage, and rightly so. People are not able to have what is their basic human right for safety, healthcare, security. I don't think the housing crisis is any different than the nursing crisis, nursing shortage, and the lack of security in our facilities. Violence against healthcare workers is rising incidence across the nation. Since COVID, it is up nearly 34%. It is underreported. So the numbers that we are using to describe where we currently lie in this statistic are highly underrepresented. And I say to you, in the 2 hours that you sit here and hear your constituents speak on behalf of their needs, their human needs, 4 nurses have been assaulted in these 2 hours. And you will not hear about these things in the news. So again, I ask you, because I am not a person to revert to violence and rage, but I am a person that believes in the legislative process. And I bring this to you, the legislators, to do something about it. Thank you.
Our next 3 speakers are Yvonne Griffin, Asa Adams, and Sarah Amby.
Do I give you guys these before?
Give them to. You guys. Okay.
Timer starts now.
It will, yes.
Okay, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
First of all, my name is Yvonne Griffin. I do not live in your city. I do not live in your county. I came because people was disrespectful to my colleague. So, and also because I think Rochester needs help with having their voices heard. So I'm gonna read you guys the data that I pulled up on the way here. So if people on the outside could look up your data, then you guys need to fix it within the inside. And that's coming from someone who lives in Syracuse, which we are the first in poverty, first in homeless, first with lowest kids, and you guys are number 2. So keep that in mind. And I'm looking at you guys because you guys are majority. So good evening. My name is Yvonne Griffin. We are here today because the math of survival in Rochester no longer adds up. For years, our local housing safety net, your housing safety net, has relied on a rental allowance that for many sits at a staggering $440 a month. In a city where fair market rent for a modest 2-bedroom is now well over $1,300. That $440 isn't a lifeline, it's a deadline. We are here to advocate for an increase to $900, a shift that isn't just about extra money, but about basic human dignity. The reality of numbers. Look at the data from this past year. Your homeless population has surged 34% since 2019. Your shelters are not just full, they're overflowing with the most recent point in time, which is y'all people who go and do your homeless count. They did it at 1,100. That's too high. Experiencing homelessness in your region on any given night. And I don't even, because I didn't do the research, but I know Syracuse had 5 people die from being cold. And I know you guys' count was higher because we get y'all news inside Syracuse. Increasing the subsidy to $900 brings us closer to reality. It bridges a gap between low income wages and HUD fair market rents. Currently, the Rochester Housing Authority serves over 27,000 people. 27,000. And there's nobody else that can get in because your wait list is too long. with public assistance not raising the rent up on the state level because I'm a lobbyist and I'm an advocate, that means that your temporary assistance people cannot live inside affordable housing because there is no help. So raise the 440 to 900.
Right.
And if you guys
I need you.
your community
I need you to wrap up.
chapters, we all coming.
Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. I'm Sarah Ambe. I am a proud resident of the 19th Ward here in our city of Rochester and Monroe County. I second so strongly all the amazing voices of people who've spoken here today and to you all in the past. But I want to zoom out. I love history. I want you to all think about the history of people on this planet, how we need to be a global community. Think about history. Think about Hungary. Think about what happened in Hungary a couple of days ago. Think about what happened in New York City. We have Zohan Mamdani as our mayor in New York City. Then think about the progressive changes that FDR created and that his administration created in our country. Contemplate the French Revolution. Which side do you want to be on? Change is coming. What side do you want to be on as an elected representative of the people? People are suffering. People are dying. There is injustice in the richest country on the planet. Our community needs progressive representation. We need you to take action. We need housing justice. Raise the vouchers to a minimum of $990. We need environmental justice. We need progressive renewables only. No to all data centers. These and many other intersectional issues are essential to democracy locally and globally. I volunteer with Metro Justice. I volunteer with the campaign to replace Rochester Gas and Electric, one of the most egregious companies on the planet. We need public power now. Take action.
Thank you. Hello, welcome.
Wow, that's enough. Now you can start clocking me.
Yeah, I think it's on. Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Asa Adams. Every time I come here, I'm kind of shocked, but this time I'm not surprised because you guys dropping the ball again. Last month, Rochester made national news, whether y'all know it or not, especially this side that walked out. You guys were on CNN. Did y'all know that? People from Atlanta were calling me about what's going on here. And I keep trying to tell everybody, it's not racism anymore. It's bigotry at its finest. That's worse than racism. But what I'm here about today is this piece of paper here about the tax foreclosures. You guys, have you seen this? This report came to me through some of y'all secret people. I have approximately 20 pages, God knows how many per page. These are tax foreclosures. The largest is $28,000 and the smallest is $19. Now, all you folks who decide to vote for foreclosures need to rethink again and put me on your team, and I tell you how to get it right. Number one, no house should be foreclosed under $2,000. And number two, none of these people are following the 14th Amendment. And number three, nobody's following the tax code 922 that goes off to 713 that comes back to 711. I am surprised you guys have not gotten sued yet. And I got a funny feeling if these people see this listing, you guys are in for a class action multi-billion-dollar lawsuit. So you better wake up, get this thing right. Because I told you the last time I was here, a man killed his mother that was in a nursing home that lost a house in Webster for $2,500. Now, I'm gonna say this as closing, if I may.
Yes, please wrap
I'm
up.
going to judge every last single one of you. Now, if I'm judging you, God is going to judge you even worse. Now, if you can't forgive somebody for doing their time, by law, they're exempt after that. If the law can forgive them, why can't you? So if you can't forgive somebody, don't ask for forgiveness coming back. God is looking at us now.
Thank you.
And he's very angry.
Wraps up. Thank you. So you gotta, you can, if you'd like, you can share that with the clerk, but gotta. Okay, thank you.
Our next three speakers are Xanthi Plymel, Jean-Paul Clem, and Christopher Guzman.
Hello. Welcome, welcome. Oh. Yep.
Yeah, I'll just say as an opener, not a lot of people get my name right, so thank you very much. And so I'm here representing the Rochester for Energy Democracy campaign. I live in Irondequoit. I've recently completed my master's degree in environmental policy, so I have some expertise in this, and I have two main concerns I want to share with you. First, RG&E's proposed rate hikes are going to come down from the state anytime now, likely within the month. This is a financial noose choking out my family and others. Rochester is the third most utility cost burden place in the entire United States, and there are motions to dismiss the rate case completely, with deadlines happening later this week on the 17th. Our state legislators too know that RG&E's constant rate hikes are an emergency. Our state assembly members like Jen Lunsford, Sarah Clark, and Harry Bronson have already written to the governor asking for reductions in our utility prices. I really need Monroe County to make similar demands and create regulations so that RG&E cannot continue to fail financial audits like they did in May while increasing their own pay. Will my neighbors have to choose between heating or eating? Second, Monroe County ought to deploy solar and wind as part of a distributed generation strategy, energy generation strategy. Oil and gas can be held hostage in the Strait of Hormuz, but wind and sun cannot. I would like the county to prioritize implementing their current climate action plan and especially work with local governments to get panels on our critical infrastructure. I'm talking schools, community centers, hospitals, even parking garages can really make a difference here. And since I have the time, I'd like to make a last point. I want it on the record as an Irondequoit resident. I do support affordable housing, and we really need an update to the housing voucher program. The last time it was updated was 11 years before my birth, if we're going to make a competition here. And I am turning 25 next week, and I personally have no prospects to live independently again. So please reform this. Please give us a reason to hope for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Here you go.
Hello,
Yes, go ahead.
my name is Jean-Paul Clem. I am a member of Rochester for Energy Democracy, and I am a Irondequoit resident. I would like the county to fund a study that looks into ways to reduce our utility bills. RG&E has an absurd profit margin that is near double the recommended average, and Monroe County has a very high energy burden. People and businesses alike are struggling to pay their utility bills, and not just the small businesses. Walmart has a lot of money, and so does Salvatore's, and both of them have spoken out against the rate increases that are on their way. And that's alongside the 8,000 and counting residents that have signed onto our campaign asking for a change from RG&E. RG&E has made Monroe County not just a hard place to live, but a hard place to do business. Our economy is struggling. Additionally, I know that if we owned our utility, that the money we use to pay our bills would stay here rather than going overseas. RG&E holding corporation in the United States with investors based in the Middle East, rather than enriching investors, that money could benefit our communities who are struggling with the basic necessity of living. That could go towards a housing voucher, for instance. Now, I know as a member of this campaign, the city has set aside funds to do that study to see if this is plausible. And if you are unmoved by my words, or if you feel a bit of doubt, if you're unsure about the benefits, the answers are at the end of that study. So I implore you, please fund a study to look into alternatives to RG&E. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Welcome.
My name is Christopher Guzman. I am a organizer with Citizen Action, and I got a couple of things to say on my chest. So, 1 month ago, the Republican Party in this legislature hall walked out because they couldn't face the truth. The truth is that their ineffective leadership caused their base to suffer. They are not the party of the working class. They are the party of ICE, white supremacy, and Donald Trump, of Jeffrey Epstein, of Netanyahu, of the millionaires and billionaires that control this country and are responsible for untold death and destruction worldwide. And so have the Democrats. Their incompetent leadership, both nationally and especially locally, is responsible for this mess. The people want real change. The people want to live comfortable and safe lives. They don't want to work 2, 3, or even 4 jobs just to keep afloat. Just yesterday in Oregon, an Amazon warehouse worker collapsed dead in front of his shift, in the middle of his shift, and his fellow employees were forced to work for up to 1 hour after his passing. They were forced to watch their fellow worker die in front of them for $23.25 an hour. In Oregon, a state where rent for a 1-bedroom apartment is an average of $1,800 a month. He wasn't killed by a pre-existing condition, which, by the way, his insurance would deny. He was killed by the very same system that allows nearly 1 million people just in the United States alone to go homeless. The very same system that enables a genocide. The very same system that murders union leaders in third world nations with death squads paid for by Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, Nestle, United Fruit Company, just to name a few. To the Democrats, do you want to keep enabling this? Do you want to keep this cycle of misery going until we're all swallowed up? You're responsible for this, and blood is on your hands. Thank you.
Yeah.
Our next 3 speakers are Esther Rivkin, Robert McFarland, and Timothy Dunn.
Thank you. Okay, no problem. All right. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, suburbanites. Wake up, stay off your phone, please. I speak to you now at the end of a long winter. There are neighbors of mine who didn't make it, and many more who will have amputations from frostbite or trench foot. It is important that you clear from your minds the notion that these neighbors and friends of mine all chose to be outside. The notion that there was adequate room for them at shelters, but that they simply couldn't handle the conditions or restrictions. The notion that you, our leaders, led horses to water that wouldn't drink. I challenge any among you to spend 1 week without a phone or a wallet navigating this system. People shouldn't have to go to Center City to seek shelter in the first place. Suburbs and well-off city neighborhoods need to pick up their slack, because when their community members fall through the cracks, they end up downtown. People should be able to find shelter in their neighborhoods, around their friends and community, and not be shackled downtown where the cold and empty streets and the beef and the drugs and the tensions are. There are more homeless people in this county this year than last, and there is every reason to believe there will be more next year. But we had fewer beds available this winter, and there'd be none for queer folk were not for the House of Mercy. Now, if I thought you would make sure there'd be enough beds for next winter, I probably wouldn't be here. I work at a soup kitchen and do street outreach with my community. And this winter, for 2 of the blizzards, we managed to find somewhere indoors for about 20 people from the street. It was exhausting and stressful and risky and scary, but we came together as a community and we did it. But the lives of our most vulnerable shouldn't depend on us getting so worried and frustrated and desperate that we pull something together at the news of a storm. So if our no-good politicians can't pull it together, our community will. But it's embarrassing living in a society like this. I don't care
care what the hurdles are. I don't care about the money. And I don't care what people who have no fucking clue would piss and moan about. If you feel indignant or have anything but shame and possibilities running through your mind, I want you to listen very closely. You are presiding over the shredding of the social contract. If you allow poverty to become a death sentence, don't expect the poor and huddled masses to roll over and take it.
Thank you. Right.
Hello, hello, no.
Hello, welcome.
Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right. Where's the clock?
It started already, ma'am.
Oh, hi, I'm Esther Rivkin, and I'm here for Citizen Action. And I'm here because the fact that it's been since 1990, $440 for vouchers. Back in 1990, that was a lot to me. Back in 1990, I was 19 years old and it worked. You know, I was able to get a little apartment. They just put an apartment up on Pleasant Street from my bureau for $800 is the lowest rent. Even I can't afford that on my SSI because that means that after 800, I've got what, 200? That means I can't get a car, a vehicle, anything because I can't pay insurance, a car note, not even gas because that's $4. I want to talk also that the schooling stuff. I'm a Rochester City School District teacher. And when I started working again, I was getting $14 an hour. And I'm getting about maybe 22 now. However, it's supposed to be 8 students, 1 teacher. And they have 25 students in the class with 2 teachers. I can barely handle that. We are overcrowded with students. We are underpaid, and it's not fair. I worked hard for my education. I came off from the streets and I built myself up just like my mom was a college professor. I'm doing something with my life. Now, vouchers are needed because I'm seeing people outside. I live in Liberty Loft, and I'm gonna end with this. Every day I go to the transit system, I'm seeing people outside over heater ducts during the winter. It's sad. It's breaking my heart. But for the grace of God, there go I. And I'm gonna end with this. You guys said a prayer, right? And you pray to come in here, but I don't see you helping any of the individuals that are out here that your constituents.
Thank you.
This concludes the public forum.
Yes. Thank you all. So this. Thank you. At this time, we will recess the March 14th, 2026 meeting of the Monroe County Legislature and will reconvene the Pure Waters Administrative Board for the Gates, Chili, Ogden Sewer District, Arundecoit Bay South Central Pure Waters District, Northwest Quadrant Pure Waters District, and Rochester Pure Waters District. If there are no objections regarding referrals 26-0007 and 26-0079, we'll adopt all 4 districts with 1 vote. The clerk will see to it that individual resolution numbers are assigned to each. Mr. Clerk, please note the attendance and read the first item on the agenda.
PWAP agenda item numbers 1, 3, 5, and 7. Referral number 26-0077, authorizing alteration of sewer assets, fiber facilities, and appurtenances of Gates, Chili, Ogden Sewer District, Arundecoit Bay South Central Pure Waters District, Northwest Quadrant Pure Waters District, Rochester Pure Waters District, and Monroe County by the New York State Department of Transportation for state let contracts for calendar year 2026.
Move it, Madam President.
Second.
Moved by Legislator Houston, second by Legislator Mofucci. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
PWAP agenda item numbers 2, 4, 6, and 8. Referral number 26-0079, authorizing make-ready agreements for alteration of assets owned by private and public utilities for purpose of an installation of fiber optic facilities and appurtenances owned by Gates, Chili, Ogden Sewer District, Arundecoit Bay South Central Pure Waters District, Northwest Quadrant Pure Waters District and/or Rochester Pure Waters District for projects undertaken in calendar year 2026.
Move it, Madam President.
Second.
Moved by legislator Hugh Smith, seconded by legislator Mafucci. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. And we will now recess the Rochester Pure Waters District, Gates, Chi-Li, Ogden Sewer District, Arundecoit Bay, South Central Pure Waters District, Northwest Quadrant Pure Waters District, and adjourn the Pure Waters Administrative Board. And I will now reconvene the April 14, 2026 meeting of the Monroe County Legislature. We will now proceed with the consideration of motions, resolutions, and notices. Will the clerk read the first item on the agenda?
Item number 1, referral 26-0075, requiring disclosure to the legislature of purchases of surveillance technology for the Monroe County Sheriff.
Second. Moved by legislator Long, seconded by legislators Barnhart.
Like Barnhart and Mafucci, is that right?
I thought I heard two voices too, but legislator Barnhart and Mafucci. Yes. Thank you. Is there any discussion? Legislator Smith.
Thank you, President. Madam President, I rise to explain my vote on this legislation. I understand the stated intent of this legislation, but I do not believe it gets the balance right. I have confidence in our Monroe County Sheriff's Office, and even with the exemptions in this bill, I do not believe we should be providing criminals even a hint of advantage when it comes to technologies and strategies used to deter them, investigate crimes, and bring offenders to justice. As the Sheriff's Office has indicated, much of this information is already provided through existing county purchasing processes. And if legislators wish to seek out that information, I'm confident there are avenues to do so without creating a new mandate in county law. I also do not believe this proposal creates a meaningful new oversight. It requires reporting after the fact without changing any actual authority, while adding another administrative burden to government and leaving important questions about disclosure and withholding unresolved. I believe in a way, a yes vote on this legislation is in many ways a quasi vote of no confidence in the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. I do not share that view. I believe in this. I believe in our sheriff's office. I respect the work they do. I trust their judgment in carrying out their critical public safety mission. There are better and more appropriate ways for this body to exercise oversight through the normal budget committee process without placing a new recurring mandate on one independently elected who elected our law enforcement office. Therefore, I'll be voting no on this. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Legislator Barnhart.
Thank you. I also rise to explain my vote. Throughout my entire adult life, first as a reporter and now as a legislator, I have been asking governments for information, particularly on how we spend tax dollars. To me, this is fundamental to our democracy. Transparency is key to accountability, and that is always a good thing. This legislation came about when we learned from a newspaper article that the county entered into a 10-year, $15 million contract for a variety of surveillance technology, software, and equipment. It's hard for me to believe that anyone would think that we as a legislative body don't have a right to automatically know about a 10-year, $15 million contract, particularly when it involves surveillance technology, which has additional public interest concerns. When I learned about that contract, I started asking questions of the law department about why exactly the legislature did not vote on this contract, because our charter says we vote on all professional services contracts above $20,000. And we have a contract portal online, which is a great tool. And this wasn't there. Well, it wasn't there because this was not considered a professional services contract. Software is considered a commodity. So while purchasing and the sheriff's department did everything right according to our policies and procedures in the law, and I'm not alleging they didn't, there wasn't a way for us to really know about it. And you cannot ask about things you don't know about. So Legislator Smith's solution to this doesn't work. I can't ask for information that I'm not aware is happening. I started to look into what is a proper remedy. And I'm going to go on a little side tangent here because I think it's relevant to this. Around the same time, I started asking about why we don't vote on software contracts. I was also asking about contracts I saw in the software portal for social services. Turns out we spend millions of dollars on social services professional contracts that we don't vote on. And there's a different explanation for why we don't vote on those. We don't vote on those, according to the law department, which thank you to all of the attorneys who have responded to my many questions over the last year, because that's how long I've been looking into this. We don't vote on those because there is a state regulation that says our social services commissioner can enter into any contracts that provide direct benefit to the people we serve. That has been interpreted to mean that our social services commissioner can enter into contracts for like consulting services for leadership skills and evaluating the juvenile detention center. I think that is a gross distortion and stretching of the intent of that state regulation. So I wrote the comptroller about both of these situations, both the software commodity situation, which has been in effect since software was a lot different than it is now. Now we call it software as a service because it is. It requires 10-year contracts. And I asked the comptroller about this interpretation of state law. And I got a call back from an attorney at the comptroller's office last week, actually. We had a nice talk. You know what he said? Well, you might be right, but you're the legislature. You can change the rules. We have the power to change the rules if we want to. Unfortunately, changing the rules on both of those things is fairly complicated. But here's something we can do now, and it is like the bare minimum, which is just to require disclosure. And something tells me if I had introduced this about the social services contracts, you all would be fine with that. But we don't need disclosure in that because it's in the contract portal. But I do believe strongly we need a remedy for all of it, that we should have a say on really expensive contracts that don't necessarily involve those direct services, that involve really long periods of time, that involve a lot of tax dollars. So I just wanted to make that point because I completely categorically reject any suggestion that asking for information is an attack on anyone, an attack on a particular department, because I want information on everything. And I think you'd be really hard pressed to find any taxpayer in this community who says, yeah, we didn't need to know about a $15 million 10-year contract. And there is an exception in this disclosure requirement saying that, if the sheriff really believes that it's going to impact public safety, then that can be addressed. But this is the bare minimum we can do. So the comptroller's office said, well, we are the legislature, we can do something. This is something we can do, bare minimum disclosure. And frankly, I think it's the start of what we should do to really take our power back as a legislature, to really understand the decisions that are being made and to involve ourselves in those decisions, because these are tax dollars, these are policies, and this is our jobs. So I would just end by saying thank you to President Roman, Public Safety Chair Dave Long, the colleagues who provided input, and the colleagues who are going to support this. And thank you to the Sheriff's Office for not opposing this. I think it's the right thing to do. Thank you. I will be voting yes.
Yeah, thank you. Any other discussion? Yes, Legislator Dondorfer.
I just have a couple quick questions for the admin, through you to the administration. This information that is going to be disclosed to us, is it available in any other form or fashion, or any other via any request during quarterly reporting or anything like that?
I think they're looking to see if a representative. Legislator, could you repeat the question, please?
Maybe.
The best of your ability.
Through you to the administration, is there any other means to obtain the data that is suggested in this referral without this referral? So is there like a quarterly report that goes someplace that we have access to as legislators that we can get? Or is this referral the only way that we would be able to get the information that is being requested?
Through the President, Chief Deputy Fowler for the Sheriff's Office. That information is available through the purchasing department at the county. And all of those are public records, unless, of course, the sheriff decides that it's a confidential investigation.
So I through you, Madam President, to the administration, I guess, as a legislator, do we have to go through the FOIL process to get that, or is that something that is available to us as legislators, not immediately, but in a timely fashion? Shall I leave it at that?
Through you, Madam President, you would have to FOIL that information.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Yes, Legislator Barnhart.
Through the president to the administration, to confirm, under the law, there is no time limit on FOIL requests in terms of when you have to respond, correct?
Through you, Madam President, no, that is not correct.
Through the president to the administration. Thank you. Through the president to the administration, I mean, the law says you have to respond in a reasonable amount of time, but there's no specified time limit. Correct? Aside from the 5 days acknowledgement.
Through you, Madam President, Legislator, you're correct in that the statute itself does not specify, for example, a number of days. But case law has provided guidance as to what a reasonable amount of time is.
Okay. Through the president to the administration, you have taken 6 months or more to respond to some of my FOIL requests. Isn't that true?
Through you, Madam President, I personally have no idea.
Okay, you have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion?
I just have one more follow-up question to ask in regards to the FOIL stuff. So through you, Madam President, to the administration, if a legislator were to request that information, would that be made available to the legislature?
Through you, Madam President, I think we're trying to understand the scope of the question here. We certainly make our best attempt to respond to every inquiry. The manner in which we respond may be different upon how it's presented to us. I'm not sure I can be more specific than that under these circumstances.
Okay, so before we go, I'd just like to explain my vote. First, I want to truly acknowledge the collaboration that went into getting us here and to this piece of legislation before us. This truly was not done in a vacuum. It involved thoughtful conversations with the Sheriff's Office, administration, our law department, and colleagues who worked to ensure that this proposal was both practical and effective. I really, truly want to give a very heartfelt thanks to the Sheriff's Office and his team for demonstrating what transparency is through this legislation and how it is about legislative oversight and fiscal responsibility. As members of this honorable body, it is truly our responsibility to understand how taxpayer dollars are being spent, especially as surveillance technology becomes more advanced, more costly, and our constituents become more impacted and concerned by the use of surveillance technology in their lives. What I appreciate about this measure is that it strikes a balance. It does not interfere with the sheriff's ability to fulfill their duties. It does not create an unnecessary burden, as was shared here in chambers, on operations or the day-to-day work of their office. At the same time, it ensures that this legislature and the sheriff's department themselves aren't questioned about the way in which they're spending taxpayer dollars. To me, it's a common sense approach that respects our overall public safety and the dollars that are being spent. So for those reasons, I will be voting yes and encourage my colleagues to do the same. I truly want to thank everyone who worked together to get this legislation to the point that it is tonight. Is there any other discussion?
Madam President,
Yes, Legislator Ritchie.
thank you. I rise to explain my vote. I've given this a significant amount of thought because I really don't want to hamstring law enforcement. I think public safety is one of our most important functions. However, surveillance technology is very controversial. And I think as it grows, we need to make sure that we're aware of it and the public is aware of it. I know every time I drive on 490, I wish we had more surveillance technology because there are people speeding like mad. So I will be supporting this. I don't see it as limiting or hurting our sheriff's office at all. I just think it's a common sense approach to new technology that is controversial. So I will be supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Yes, Legislator Morris.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise to explain my vote. I am going to be voting no on this piece of legislation. I believe it's an unnecessary burden on our sheriff's department when we've been told that we could certainly get this information through available venues. I would just like to close and state that I do have to take exception with the statement made by Legislator Barnhart that she believes if there was another piece of legislation that she had brought forward that we wouldn't have a problem with that. I think it is inappropriate to suggest that she knows what we would or would not support. I would also like to point out that a number of meetings ago, one of my colleagues on this side of the aisle was making a statement and it was interpreted by a member of the other side of the aisle that they were speaking on behalf of them and they were asked not to do that. So I would ask for the same courtesies to be extended to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, sounds like a roll call vote. Mr. Clerk?
Roll call vote. Mr. Udelson. Yes. Mr. Udelson votes yes. Mr. McCabe.
No.
Mr. McCabe votes no. Ms. Barnhart.
Yes.
Ms. Barnhart votes yes. Ms. Bartholomew McCoy.
Yes.
Ms. Bartholomew McCoy votes yes. Mr. Baines.
Yes.
Mr. Baines votes yes. Mr. Blankley. Mr. Blankley votes yes. Ms. Bonnick.
Yes.
Ms. Bonnick votes yes. Mr. Burgess.
Yeah.
Mr. Burgess votes yes. Mr. Charity. Mr. Charity votes no. Mr. Colby. Mr. Colby votes no. Mr. Cruz.
Yes.
Mr. Cruz votes yes. Ms. Delvecchio Hoffman. Ms. Delvecchio Hoffman votes yes. Mr. Dondorfer. Mr. Dondorfer votes no. Mr. Frazier. Mr. Frazier votes yes. Ms. Hasman.
Yes.
Ms. Hasman votes yes. Ms. Hugh Smith.
Yes.
Ms. Hugh Smith votes yes. Dr. Jeffrey.
Yes.
Dr. Jeffrey votes yes. Mr. Johns. Mr. Johns votes yes. Mr. Keller. Mr. Keller votes yes. Mr. Long.
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Long votes yes. Mr. Mafucci.
Yes.
Mr. Mafucci votes yes. Ms. McIntyre. Ms. McIntyre votes yes. Mr. Milne. Mr. Milne votes no. Mr. Morris. Mr. Morris votes no. Mr. Sinclair.
No.
Mr. Sinclair votes no. Ms. Smith. Ms. Smith votes no. Mr. Stefferson.
Yes.
Mr. Stefferson votes yes. Ms. Vasquez Simmons.
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez Simmons votes yes. President Roman.
Yes.
President Roman votes yes. 21-8. Resolution passes.
Thank you.
Madam President?
Yes, Legislator Yosin.
Yeah, I move that we consider the rest of the agenda as a whole, with the exception of items number 25, 26, and 27.
Second.
Okay. Motion to move the agenda with the exceptions of items 25, 26, and 27. That was moved by Legislator Udelson, second by Legislator Don Bodorfer. All in favor? Any opposed?
Aye.
I'm okay. Thank you. Okay. Item unanimously carries. Thank you.
Item number 25, referral 26-0099. Young Citizens of Excellence, Willie W. Lightfoot Youth Advocate of the Year and Monroe County Youth Team Achievement Recommendations.
Move it.
Moved by Legislator Mafucci, seconded by Legislator Udelson. Is there any discussion? Yes, Legislator Dondorfer.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise to just, I would like to give a thanks to Reese and all of the legislative aides who have done such an amazing job getting this all together for us. I would also like to thank the Youth Bureau for all of their hard work into these youth awards. I know that this is something that I look forward to every year as a legislator, and I know from the feedback that I get from the award winners, it is something that they look forward to every year. So thank you all for all of your hard work.
Yes. Thank you. I would like to echo those sentiments and look forward to celebrating alongside these recipients, their families, and you all. Is there any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 26, referral 26-0100. Confirming appointments to the Monroe County Agriculture and Farmland Protection Board.
Moved by Legislator Hugh Smith, second by Legislator Baines. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 27, referral number 26-0126, authorizing a settlement agreement and opioid-related litigation concerning 6 regional opioid distributors and dispensers.
Move it.
Second.
Sorry, moved by Legislator Hasman, seconded by Legislator Mafucci. Is there any discussion? Legislator Baines. I would like to note that this is litigation, so we may have to go into executive session.
Legislator Baines is always aware of the guardrails,
Right.
occasionally bumps into them.
I believe that.
Our meeting's about to end. And it's interesting that the length of the meeting in proportion to the length of the public comment. The meeting's what, maybe, I didn't calculate it, but it feels awful disproportionate. But I think that I have an opinion that we need to inject more culture into our meetings. And so I'd like to recommend a book that relates directly to this referral.
Madam President.
It relates to this referral.
Saying it relates to the referral.
The book is called Demon Copperhead, and it relates to the opioid crisis in America. And if anybody wants to form a book club, I'd be happy to meet, as long as we don't form a quorum, to do that. So, and I'm voting in favor.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Item carries. And with that, I'm going to take a point of privilege because I failed to make this announcement earlier. But I would really like to take a moment to recognize April as National County Government Month. This month highlights the work happening every day in local government and the people who make it all possible. As we all know, this work doesn't just happen in this chamber. It happens because of the dedicated employees across Monroe County who show up every day to serve our community. So from our public health staff to our parks employees, to our deputies, to our colleagues, to the folks behind the scenes keeping operations running, your work truly matters. It makes a difference in the people's lives, whether it's helping a family access services, keeping our community safe, or simply making things run the way they should. Local government is where people feel it the most, as we heard today in forum. It's where government is closest to home. And that only works because of our commitment, our care, and the professionalism of our workforce. So during County Government Month, I truly want to say thank you. Thank you for the work you do, often without recognition. Thank you for your service to Monroe County, and thank you for helping us to deliver the work to residents that we all serve. I'm truly proud of the work that we do together, and I'm grateful for the people who make it possible. So to my colleagues in government, happy National County Government Month. And I truly want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. So with that being said, there is no unfinished business. Legislator Udelson.
Madam President, I move that we stand adjourned until 6 p.m. on Tuesday, May 12th.
All right. Let's go home.